I know, another video on 2000s nostalgia. But look, it was a bizarre time. We were all too young for smartphones and iPads, but just old enough where the internet and game consoles were beyond their infancy, and sort of resemble what we have now. Sort of, if being the keyword here. One aspect of gaming culture that I feel people don't talk about anymore is what we were playing on our parents' laptops when we weren't on our consoles. I don't know what to call this genre of game exactly. These were basically online MMOs tailored for a younger audience. The first one I played was Webkinz. Now this concept was ahead of its time in my opinion, being kind of similar to Amiibo or Skylanders where you go out, buy a toy, and then be able to play with it later. Here's how it worked. There were many animals, whatever this is, that were sold in stores as plushies. They often came in two sizes, with the littlekins being obviously cheaper. I think the weirdest thing for me about Webkinz as a kid was these were never in Walmarts or Targets or any stores like that, but instead, and I kid you not, I remember seeing them at post offices, coffee shops, and card greeting Hallmark stores. I don't know why. So you get home, you eat your goddamn Happy Meal that you also strong-armed your mom into buying, and enter the code that came with your plushie. Upon entering this code, your Webkinz is transported to your computer, living in a room that you can further customize, and from there, they truly are your virtual pet you can check in on. For instance, sometimes your Webkinz will be sick, so you'd have to take them to Dr. Quack. Yes, that's actually his name, and it's hilarious. Apparently this guy retired in March 2015. It can't be. Here's the catch though. You can only play for 1 year past the registration of your pet. Apparently nowadays you're able to play Webkinz without buying a new plush, but back when I was a kid and actively played this, you were basically just screwed. So that means yet again bothering the fuck out of your parents and getting yet another toy that sat around the house and did nothing else. Parents loved this game. My brother and I combined had about 30 Webkinz by the end of our retirement from the site. Unfortunately, after you buy 10 Webkinz pets, Gans, the company behind this, tells you to go frick yourself and doesn't give you any more rooms for your new pets. So I remember a lot of my Webkinz just ended up having to share rooms, making everything feel more like a hospital or prison than a home. What's neat is that there are multiple types of room designs too. You have indoors, outdoors, underwater, and even treetops, and to be fair, you can always buy rooms, so it's not limited to purchasing the toys. After you and your pet got settled, you can go to the W shop, and buy food and furniture. Setting up the rooms was always so fun and addicting. I remember as a kid just spending hours on it. There was so much you could do with them. You could either make the rooms as chaotic as possible, you could put one chair in a room and laugh, or actually collect the entire furniture sets to make something like a classroom or a kitchen. It was very novel. Now you'd think with a purchase system and structure like this would be entirely microtransaction based, and it eventually kind of became that in 2011, which is sad. But thankfully many of us didn't have our childhoods butchered, as in the old days you could earn money by just playing arcade games or doing whatever events that Gans came up with that month. Speaking of the arcade, I love this place. Mini games of some form are very much a consistent focus in basically every community game we're going to be talking about today, and it makes sense. These aren't so in-depth that you'll spend your whole life playing it, but it's a nice break from the otherwise sort of sim-like experience. As it pertains to Webkinz, there are so many games that I can't possibly go over them all, but there were some genuinely addicting and clever little romps here. Nothing mind-blowing, as some of them were just variations of already made games. I remember Ant-Mania 2, for instance, was a direct Snake ripoff. I mean, do you really think kids are gonna be there and like, oh gross, a Snake ripoff? They don't even know what Snake is. And that's only scratching the surface of what this online space entailed. Webkinz was seriously a living and breathing virtual world. There were newspapers and a clubhouse where you can hang out with other people. By just sitting there and, talking in pre-made sentences. It's fun when you're 6, okay? There were many different shops. There was a post office, and as said earlier, so many different events like the Pet of the Month and Webkinz Day. So Webkinz still exists, but it's been commercialized to hell and is very much not relevant anymore. A lot of the website is still intact, but they stopped making new plushies, and there's blatant corporate greed. I consider it sort of a graveyard now. Aiding in this fact, a lot of the free features were taken away in 2014 with the introduction of the Webkinz Deluxe membership. Now I can understand something like this in other games, but it's kind of cringe-inducing when you consider that you're already spending money on the plushies. Like if I was a kid in this era, there'd be no way in hell my parents would spend $20 on a toy and then pay $6 monthly after that. It kind of feels scummy to me that a game made for children that was supposed to be wholesome and fun just sort of turned into a cash grab. To make matters worse, Gans Incorporated revealed Webkinz next in 2020. And I'm sorry, but what the actual hell is this? I don't even know how to respond to this. This is downright embarrassing. It doesn't even look like the same franchise anymore. Connectimals looked better than this.